With Abdulfattah Adeyemi, you unlock a world of wisdom, growth, and connection. It's time to live, love, learn, and build a better world together. Be inspired. Be motivated. Edit your universe.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon all of us. My name is Abdulfattah Adeyemi. You are welcome to this lecture that is reaching you from the platform of Bainakum Family Counseling Center. The topic of discussion is marriage and its seasons. Marriage and its seasons. I want you to imagine something, because we want to talk about seasons, different seasons of marriage. Let me tell you a story. There was this case of a judge, very wise judge, and a case was brought before him. I'll tell you the first case, then I'll tell you the second case. The first case that was brought before him, for you to know how wise this judge happened to be. Somebody accused his neighbor for eating rice with the aroma of the chicken he was frying from his kitchen without his permission. Did you get that gist now? Somebody accused his neighbor that while he was, that is this man who brought the accusation, he said while he was busy frying chicken in his own kitchen, this neighbor brought his rice close to his kitchen window and was using the nice aroma from his own chicken in the kitchen to eat rice. So he said, this man has stolen the aroma of my chicken to eat his rice without my permission. Now the judge, the wise judge, now ruled. He said, okay, now you that have stolen somebody's aroma, you are going to be punished for doing that. And what is the punishment? He said they should come back tomorrow morning when the sun has just risen, or the sun is rising, and that they should flog the shadow of that man. They should flog his shadow 40 strokes of the cane. So he told the neighbor who was frying chicken to come with a cane, and he used the cane to flog the shadow of that his neighbor as he was standing in the sun. And that is to say that that will be his punishment for using the aroma of somebody else's chicken to eat his rice. Is that not a very wise judge? Very wise judge. Now, this same judge, they brought another case to him. A man accused his neighbor of fraud and dragged him to the court. What is the offense? He claimed that the neighbor sold a well to him, but the well dried up after 2 months. So he wants a refund. He wants a refund. After 2 months that I bought this well from you, the well dried up. And that means you scammed me. And they brought the case to this same judge we are talking about. And what did the wise judge do? The wise judge ruled and said, give him his refund and take back your well. But walk on your well, you will be well. That is what the judge said. The neighbor wasn't satisfied with this judgment because he knows that I've already sold this well to him. And whatever happens to the well should not be my own headache. The judge insisted, no, give him a refund, keep the well to yourself, but walk on your well, you will be well. So this neighbor eventually, well, he had to accept anyway. That was the judge speaking. And the last statement of the judge really caught his attention. What was the last statement of the judge? The judge said, walk on your well, you will be well. Walk on your well, you will be well. So he understood something. He understood that the well functions in seasons. Sometimes in the year, there's much water in the well, maybe during rainy season. And at another season, the water dries up when it is dry season. Now that he listened to what that wise judge said, and now that he has had his well back, he decided to dig the well deeper in search of water. Then, as he kept walking on the well every day, he hit a piece of solid rock, and that rock turns out to be gold. Now he is forever happy and grateful that he listened to the words of the judge, and he even regretted having tried to sell his well in the first place. He remembered very well that you have to work on your well so that you can be well. And because everything is in season, that is what that neighbor that bought it from him did not understand. But now he understands it, and his life is a lot better for it. What do I want to bring out from all of these stories that I'm telling you? You see couples that will sit across from each other in silence. It is the heavy silence of distance between them, not the peaceful silence of comfort. Whereas this same couple, there was a time they could not stay apart. There was a time they spoke for hours. They laughed over nothing. They made promises they were sure would last forever. Now, they barely recognize the sound of each other's hearts. What changed? What changed? Did the love die? Or did the season change? Marriage, my dear brothers and sisters, is often misunderstood by couples. We enter into marriage thinking it is a destination. We think it's a place where love arrives and then remains unchanged. But the reality is that marriage is not a destination. It's a journey through seasons. Just as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala causes the earth to move from the freshness of spring to the intense heat of summer, then to the shedding leaves of autumn, and then the harsh stillness of Hamatan, that is winter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also allows marriages to pass through seasons of passion and calm, seasons of closeness and distance, seasons of ease and hardship. Even if you don't know any other one, you know the Quran talks about فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. 2 seasons. There's the time for adversity, there's time for ease. There's time for difficulty, there's time for ease. And here's the truth that many people are not prepared to hear. The problem is not that your marriage has changed. The problem is that you were not told that it will change. Some couples panic when winter comes. They think something is spoilt. Some grow tired in summer. They think the excitement is gone forever. Some get lost in autumn. They question everything they once believed. And only a few couple understands that every season carries a message. Every season carries a test. And of course, a mercy from Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, the one we normally quote for Bainakum, Quran chapter 30 verse 21, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. And among the signs is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created for you from amongst yourselves spouses that you may find tranquility in them, and He placed between you affection and mercy. I want you to notice, Allah did not say affection only or mercy only. Because sometimes when affection feels low, it is mercy that must carry the marriage. And sometimes when life becomes heavy, it is commitment that keeps two hearts from falling apart. So today, we are not just talking about marriage. We are talking about why love changes. We are talking about why connection rises and falls. And we are talking about how to remain together even when everything feels different from what it used to be. Because a successful marriage is not one that stays in spring, but one that understands how to walk through every season together. Every season together. Now let us begin with number 1, the philosophy of seasons. Before we speak about marriage, we must first understand life itself. Because marriage does not exist outside of life, it follows the same divine patterns. Allah in His infinite wisdom did not create life as a straight line. Allah created life in cycles. The day does not remain day forever. It gives way to night. Strength does not remain forever. It bows to weakness. Youth does not stay forever. It surrenders to old age. And even the earth itself does not remain in one state. It changes. It transmutes. It moves from season to season, from one season to another. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, amongst his sign is the alternation of the night and the day. And this alternation is not random, it is intentional. It teaches us something very important. And what is that? It teaches us that stability is not found in sameness, but in understanding change. Now think about this. If Allah designed your body to change, He designed your emotions to change, and your circumstances to change, why will your marriage be the only thing that remains the same? This is where many people get it wrong. They enter marriage expecting permanent excitement, expecting constant emotional highs, and expecting uninterrupted harmony. And when change comes, they assume something is wrong. Whereas, in reality, nothing is wrong. The season has simply changed from what it used to be. Marriage, like the earth, has its own rhythms. There are times when love feels effortless, like spring rain. There are times when responsibilities grow, like the heat of the summer. And there are times when things begin to shift, like falling leaves in autumn. And moments when everything feels cold, like the winter, like the harmattan. And here's the wisdom that many never realize. Every season is necessary. There's no season you will say, okay, I prefer this season to that season. Every season is necessary. Without winter, the soil is not purified. Without summer, growth does not mature. Without autumn, there's no release of the leaves. And without spring, there's no renewal. So the question is not, why has my marriage changed? The real question is, do I understand the season my marriage is in now as we speak? Because when you understand the season, you stop panicking, you stop comparing, and you start responding with wisdom instead of wisdom. Of course, you know there's a difference between the two. There's wisdom, there's wisdom. Wisdom is the wisdom we all know. Wisdom is just your wishful thinking. And there's difference between the two. Marriage is not meant to remain the same. It is meant to grow, to stretch, and to change through every season that Allah allows. Now that we understand the philosophy, let us define what these seasons truly mean in the context of marriage. So, when we speak about seasons in marriage, we are not simply talking about time passing or for how many years you have been married. We are talking about states of the relationship. What is the situation of your relationship? Because a couple can be married for 10 years and still be in emotional spring of their marriage. Another couple, just 6 months, and they already feel the chill of winter. So what then is a season? A season in marriage is a phase defined by the emotional, spiritual, and situational condition of the relationship. You get that? It is how the marriage feels. It is how the marriage functions and what it is facing at a given time. So what the marriage feels, how the marriage functions, and what that marriage is going through at that point in time. So we have what it feels, function, and face. Feels, functions, and facing. This is what we refer to as the season of a marriage. So marriage has multiple layers of seasons. A truth that many couples never realize is that you are not in one season. Most of the time, you are in several seasons at once. You get that now? It means it's not just one season. The husband may be going through a season that is different from that of the wife. And the marriage itself may be going through a season entirely different from what the husband and the wife are feeling. Number one, we have emotional seasons. Yes, times of deep connection, especially when we just got married, affection, excitement, and what have you. And sometimes we also have emotional season of moments of distance, irritation, or silence. For example, you love your spouse, but you don't feel close to them right now. Not that you don't love them, it's just a feeling. You understand that? So that is like emotional season. It's a feeling that you don't feel okay with them. But don't forget, there's difference between what you feel and the reality of your marriage. If you base your marriage on feelings alone, you are not going to get it right, because feelings can change, moods can swing, but the realities of your marriage will remain intact. So we have that. Number one, don't forget emotional season, where you are not feeling the same way and you are not even synergizing at all. Number two is spiritual season, periods where both spouses are spiritually aligned. And there are also periods or times when one of them is growing and the other is struggling. The reality is that sometimes one partner is moving closer to Allah while the other one feels spiritually distant from Allah. That is spiritual season. We also have financial season, where there's ease and provision, or where there is strain, debt, and pressure. The impact of this is that finances don't just affect lifestyle, they affect tone, they affect patience, and they affect communication. So when you are going through some financial season, maybe it is very easy and the money is flowing in. Don't you see that you are very nice to one another, couples? Everything is love, everything. You even talk about love language, you buy gifts. It's because you have money. If there's no money, you will not buy any gift, anything. And then you just become very irritable. That is, if you are going through financial stress or strain or debt or pressure, then you see that your tone of voice will change. You run out of patience. You become, easily irritable. And you start behaving in some way like a broken bottle. You start looking dangerous. You don't want anybody to talk to you. They can't even crack jokes around you. It's because you are going through a financial season. And that will affect many other things. Get it? Then number four, we also have intimacy season. Periods of strong emotional and physical intimacy may be there, lovey-dovey. They'll be talking about, okay, we got to do something tonight. Those kind of things couples talk about. That is intimacy season. But sometimes the season may change, and then you have times of disconnect, times of fatigue. You'll be seeing each other like this. You don't even want to touch one another. Or times of unmet needs. Something is bothering your mind and it has shut down your libido, as if you don't even want to do anything with your spouse again. It's a matter of season. It happens like that sometimes. So get to understand that that can also be seasonal. Then number five, life-changing or life circumstance seasons. For example, childbirth. The time you are giving birth to your children or your baby is very small, it's a season. Childbirth, parenting, career changes, having to travel because of your job, having to pick up some other appointments that is taking you far away from home, or this matter of childbirth generally. When little kids are there, it's a kind of season in the life of a couple. And that season requires a lot of energy from both couples. If they don't want to realize this and admit, then there will be quarrel, there will be problem. And apart from that, there can be the same, life circumstance season that can involve loss. Maybe you lose somebody just died, or matters of illness may come in, matters of relocation may come in, some other issues of responsibilities may come around. We call this life circumstance seasons. When some of these things start coming up, and including matters of existential difficulties, struggling to survive, struggling to make ends meet, this can be a very serious season in the life of a couple. So bear it in mind. We have emotional season, spiritual season, number three, financial seasons, number four, intimacy seasons, and number five, life circumstance seasons. There may be some other ones, but we just mention these ones for us to know that just like we have it in nature, in marriages, there are seasons also. But let us look at it critically. A husband and wife can be living in the same house, but experiencing different seasons internally. One may be in the spring, hopeful, energized, good things happening around them, from work, from home, from families, from here and there. In his own personal life, he just finished his master's degree. Everything is going on fine. He's going for job interview, for promotions. That person may be in the spring of their life, while the other person is in winter, tired, withdrawn, too much responsibilities, having to look after little babies, having to do some parenting things. The husband and wife may be in the same home, but they are going through different seasons in their personal life. And if this is not understood, it creates confusion. One of them will say, "Why don't you feel what I feel?" And the other one will say, "Why are you not where I am?" So you see, they live in the same home, but they are going through different seasons. It's like when you're in a place, somebody is having fever. The person is sweating and other people are feeling cold. You see, that means they are in two different seasons. The danger of misunderstanding this season is that many conflicts in marriage are not due to lack of love. They are due to misreading the seasons. You expect excitement when your spouse needs rest. You demand closeness when they are emotionally overwhelmed. You interpret silence as rejection when it is actually fatigue. It's not rejection. They are just tired. So what do we do to understand this? We should understand that not every distance is rejection. We are just in two different moods. Not every silence is hatred. It's not that we are keeping malice. We just don't want to talk. And not every change is the end. Sometimes it is simply a season that is speaking. So before you judge your marriage, before you label your spouse, pause and ask, what season are we in right now in this marriage? And what does this season require from me? And what does this season require from my spouse? Because once you understand what a season is, the next step is to recognize the major seasons that every marriage will inevitably pass through. Get it? Let us now walk through these seasons one by one. Let us unpack them and let us zoom in to these seasons one after the other. The major seasons of marriage is number one, that is the spring, the one they call spring. What is spring? Spring is the season of bloom, a season of new beginnings, the season of blossoming. In marriage, the season of fresh love, the beginning season. In fact, some people call it the honey season, when couples just get married. It is everything is springing fresh for them. In our own imagery in Africa here, that is when the rains start coming in, the first rains after dryness. That's what we mean by spring. Everything is fresh and green, where you have the sproutings of fresh green leaves. And that is traditionally in many cultures, that's the planting season. That is the right time to plant. The ground is soft, the soil is ready, and you can plant anytime you want. And that is similar to when Allah says, Nisa'ukum haruthu lakum, fa'tu haruthakum anna shi'tum. Allahu Akbar. Allah says, your wives are like farmlands for you. Go to your farmlands whenever you want. That is the spring season. Get it? That is a verse of the Quran that's talking about marriage, that's referring to spring as one of the seasons of marriage. So, the feeling of spring is the feeling of hope, the feeling of excitement, the feeling of emotional freshness, especially when the marriage is just beginning. The spring is the season of romance and idealism, where you want to go to your farmland anytime. Anytime you knock on the door is going to open. Anytime you feel romantic to one another, everybody is in the mood. Everybody is ready to rock the bed. MashaAllah. This is where it all begins. The season of spring. That's even the time husband and wife want to start sowing seed that will result into pregnancy. Get it? That is when the rains are fresh and everybody is ready. Spring in marriage is the season of excitement. It's the season of attraction. Even if your husband doesn't bath, he will still look handsome. Allahu Akbar. Even if your wife is not dressed, if she's not wearing makeup, she still looks beautiful. She still looks attractive. It is when you start noticing that she has a mini dimples. Yeah, salam. So it's a time of attraction. It's a time of emotional intensity and a time of beautiful expectations. It's the phase where conversations feel effortless, where flaws are easily overlooked, and when even silence feels comfortable. You will be quiet, both of you. All of a sudden, both of you just burst into laughter. What is funny, you can't even tell. Allahu Akbar. You see, in this season of spring, love feels natural. You don't have to try too hard. You want to be together. Even the smallest things feel special. A text message, a glance, a simple, "Are you okay?" A simple, "I'm just checking on you." A simple, "Have you eaten?" All of this can light up the entire day. Your mood will just like, wow, light up like that. MashaAllah. And the beauty of this spring is that it's a gift from Allah. You know, it's a gift from Almighty Allah when couples are just starting, especially. Spring is a gift. It is what draws two hearts together. It is what softens differences. It is what plants the seed of companionship. It gives couples hope. It gives them vision. And it gives them a kind of special emotional bonding. But here's the delicate part of it. Spring is not meant to last forever. Spring is not meant to last forever. There are risks that are hidden in spring. Because everything feels good, many couples make dangerous assumptions. For example, they feel like we will always feel like this. They think they will always be like this. They think we will never argue. They think love alone is enough. Allahu Akbar. I remember there was somebody who told us, he said when he newly got married, he went to visit his uncle with his new wife. So they were there, they gave them some nice soft drinks, brand new couples. They welcomed them, received them, entertained them, gave them food. They were enjoying themselves, eating and smiling, eating and laughing, passing some messages. The uncle was observing them as they were, this lovey-dovey kind of thing. And all of a sudden, at the time, the lady just picked some part of the food and put in the husband's mouth. The guy smiled. Then the husband also put in her mouth also. The two of them were doing some kind of funny laughter like that. So the uncle now observed, and when they were about to go, the uncle said, "Okay, couples, you want to go now? Fine. Look, in case you people have any problem, please don't forget to let me know so that I can advise both of you." So he said he got a bit angry that, "What do you mean have problem? What do you mean? How can we have problem?" He said he was saying in his mind that, what is this uncle talking about? Is this old age? What do you mean if we have problem, we should come back? He just said, "Uncle, don't worry, we won't have any problem." And himself and his wife, new bride, they looked each other in the face and they smiled. They kind of smiled that, never mind, uncle, he's just being an old man. He said, lo and behold, 5 years down the line, they started having problem. So he remembered that he should go back to this uncle. So he actually went to tell this uncle that, "Uncle, you remember when we came here some time ago? You said if we have problem, I should come back. I never thought we would have problem." The uncle said, "That's exactly what it happened, how it happens. Marriage is in seasons. It happens like that sometimes." Now, the couples now, when they're in the spring of their marriage, they be like, "How can we have problem? We love each other, man. We love each other." And so they ignore difficult conversations. They don't want to go into some things. They don't want to talk about some things. They ignore personality differences. They ignore unresolved expectations. And they start keeping red flags as if they want to make parachute with it. They start keeping all sorts of red flags as if they are trying to make a map I mean, they're trying to make a flag for a country that doesn't exist. Red flags all of a sudden become so plenty, and they start even making blankets out of red flags, subhanallah. If you go to some homes now, even their bed sheet was put together with so many red flags that they have seen and they have harbored instead of doing something about it. So spring can sometimes hide reality. That's what I'm trying to say. Not because the love is fake, but because it is still young. They may not even understand. However, there's the test within this beauty of spring. Spring is not just for enjoyment, it is for planting. And I want couples to understand this. Planting what? Planting values, planting communication habits, planting emotional safety, and planting spiritual alignment. Because whatever you fail to plant in spring, you will struggle to harvest in later seasons. Make sure you plant all of these things. Plant the values when the ground is still soft. Plant communication habits when the rain is still falling. Plant emotional safety when everything is still fresh and calm. And plant spiritual alignment when both of you are still young and still bonding together. Let's hold on to this insight. And this insight is that many marriages do not fail in winter. They fail because spring was wasted. Rather than for them to plant what they needed to plant in spring, they wasted it in frivolities. And what does spring require? Instead of just enjoying the feelings, couples must be intentional. Learn each other deeply. This is the time for that. Have honest conversations. Define expectations. Build a shared vision and establish spiritual foundations with yourselves. In addition, here's a reality check. At some point, the excitement will settle, the butterflies will come, and the routine will begin. And when that happens, many people panic and say, something has changed. And he has not been like this. How did she suddenly change like that? Yes, something has really changed. Something has changed. The season has shifted. So get used to that. Therefore, enjoy the beauty of spring. I'm not saying you should not enjoy it, but do not be deceived by spring. Because spring is not the destination, it is the beginning of the journey. And when the flowers of spring begin to settle, marriage moves into a new phase that is less emotional, but more demanding. Let us now step into the next season now. The season of summer. The season of summer. Summer is heat. It's the season of heat. It's the season of labor. It is the season of hustle. Summer is the season of responsibility. It's the season of building. It's also the season of pressure. I want you to get the imagery correctly. It's a season of intense sun. When the coolness of the morning has passed, the sun has climbed the zenith of the sky. The sun is now very hot and harsh. It's a season of farming, a season of trading, a season of survival effort, a season of daily grind. How does this season feel? It feels like work. It feels like responsibility. It also feels like endurance. The summer is the season of stability and responsibility. After the blossoms of spring comes the heat of summer. Summer in marriage is the season where reality sets in, where responsibilities increase. Now, children have started coming. You are now beginning to pay bills, and life becomes more structured. You got to go to work. This is the phase of work, the phase of paying bills, the phase of bringing up children and paying school fees, the season of routines. You got to go to work, and expectations. Some things are expected of you to be carried out as a matter of responsibility. The long conversations may reduce. You don't have the whole day to spend looking at each other's faces anymore. The spontaneous excitement may fade, and in its place comes something inconspicuous. And what is that? Stability. That is when you start getting stabilized. Unlike spring, where love feels effortless, Summer requires effort. You don't just feel love, you must now practice love. You don't just enjoy each other, you must now support each other. This is the season where marriage begins to ask, can you still choose me even when life becomes heavy? Will you still prefer me even when you are very busy with work? Will you still spend time with me even when you have to go for a meeting? Will you still remember to chat me up even when you are very busy looking for livelihood? However, it's not that summer doesn't have its own beauty. Many people underestimate this season, but summer is where families are built, where legacies are formed, and where true partnership is tested. It's the season of showing up even when it is difficult. It's the season of sacrificing even when nobody is going to applaud you. It's a season of carrying responsibilities together. Husband, you do your part. Wife, you do your part. Everybody has to show up. However, there are some hidden dangers of summer that I want you to understand. Because life becomes busy, couples can slowly drift into emotional neglect. They can easily drift into routine without connection, into coexistence without intimacy. They are together, but not connected. Love does not disappear in summer. It becomes unattended. And here's the reality. In spring, love is felt, whereas in summer, love must be maintained. If you don't pay attention to love, it will wither and it will die. You can't even feel anything, but you have to work on it. It is this period of working on love that many people give up. It is during this season that many people cannot cope anymore. It's during this season that people begin to undermine each other's efforts. They begin to drift apart without realizing it. So there are some common mistakes that couples make in this season. They take themselves for granted. So taking your spouse for granted, prioritizing everything else over the relationship, looking for money, looking for livelihood at the expense of the family staying together. This is when some men will not mind. They will not mind to go on leave, to go on transfer from work that's going to make them to be away from their families. Unfortunately, it backfires. You would think you're actually doing this because you want to take care of the family, but the same family that you neglected and ignored, by the time you finish your career, by the time you get all your promotions, the family is no longer there for you to meet up the way you left it. And another mistake is assuming that we are fine because there's no conflict. To say that there's no fight doesn't mean you are fine. To say that your wife doesn't complain doesn't mean she doesn't want your comfort and your companionship. And to say that your husband doesn't complain doesn't mean that he's not missing the old you that was always there to prepare his lunch for him. It doesn't mean that he's not missing the Allah Akbar, the former you as a woman, as a wife, the former you that you will sit down together with him and you will be eating and you'll be gisting. Allah Akbar. Neglecting emotional and physical intimacy. These are some of the mistakes that couples make during this season. And what is it that summer actually requires? To survive and thrive in summer, couples must be intentional. You have to schedule connection. Don't wait for it to happen. You have to communicate consistently, even when you are tired. You have to appreciate openly because gratitude keeps love alive. You have to protect intimacy, emotionally and physically. Do not share intimacy with anybody outside of your marriage, even though you spend more time outside than inside your marriage. I want you to have a correct look at the season. Do not see summer as a loss of romance. See it as a transition of love, a transition from butterflies to building something that lasts. You may not always be there for each other during this season, but understand very well that you are actually building a legacy that will last. You are building a foundation for your family, and you are building a future that both of you, husband and wife, will still come back to enjoy as time goes on. If spring is where love begins, summer is where love is proven. And as life continues to unfold, A time comes when things begin to shift again, gently, slowly, and sometimes unexpectedly. After the intensity of summer comes the calm, shifting winds of autumn. That takes us to season number 3, and that is the autumn. Autumn is the season of harvest, when all the labors you have been doing in the last season, you begin to harvest it now. You begin to reap the fruit of your labor. It's the season of reflection. Autumn is the season of shifting. Autumn is the season of maturity. It is a harvest time. It's a time to gather the crops. It's a time to evaluate your yield. And the feeling of this season is that of assessment. How have I fared, or how have we performed in the last seasons of our lives? It's a feeling of change. It's a season of quiet realization. The autumn is the season of change and reflection. Autumn in marriage, therefore, is usually unnoticed. It does not announce itself with excitement nor with crisis. It arrives gently. This is the season where things begin to change, where roles begin to shift, and where hearts begin to reflect more than before. The person that will make money is already making money. The person that will have a stable career is already having one. And then the roles will begin to shift. It is not so hard-lined the way it used to be. Everybody begin to assume different responsibilities based on what fruit they are yielding or what fruit they are reaping and harvesting as a result of their planting season in the first season that we are talking about. And what is the nature of this autumn season? In this season, children may be growing or becoming independent. It's a time when careers may stabilize or lose meaning altogether. It's a time when routines that once defined life begin to feel different. And internally, questions begin to emerge. Is this all there is? You know, couples at a point, they'll start asking each other, asking themselves, is this all? All this struggle and hustle that I've been doing all this while, is this all I'm going to get out of it? And they begin to ask, who are we now? What have we become now? What has become of us beyond responsibilities? Apart from paying bills, what else are we? And apart from paying school fees as a husband, what else am I? Apart from being the one to pay the rent as a man, what else am I? And the mother will be like, apart from looking after children, what have I achieved? Apart from looking after babies, giving birth to children, looking after them, what else am I? They call me mama, they call me mother, they call me wife, they call me sister-in-law, they call me sister, they call me everything. What else am I? And so autumn is the season of evaluation. But it is beautiful actually on its own. Subhanallah, it's beautiful. Autumn is not a bad season. It's a gift of awareness. It allows couples to pause, to reflect, and redirect and rediscover each other beyond duties. It's an opportunity to move from being co-parents to becoming companions again. Allahu Akbar. It's a time to say, okay, these children have come in between us. They have created gap between us. Looking for livelihood to take care of the family has made us to be a little estranged to one. We don't even know each other anymore. But the beauty of it all is this is the time they begin to come back again. That come, we are father and mother, but we are still husband and wife. And the symbolism is that of falling leaves. Just as trees shed their leaves, autumn invites couples to let go. Let go of what? Let go of unrealistic expectations. You thought you are going to remain together lovey-dovey the way you started. No. You have to let go of that expectation. You thought, okay, by now we should be trending on the social media as the couples of the year. No. You may even have to start struggling with data. And sometimes, the expectations you thought you were going to travel around the world, you are actually traveling around the markets, looking for where things are cheap to buy. So this is the time to let go. Let go of that unrealistic expectations that your wife is going to remain forever young. Her belly is going to remain forever flat. Flat for where? After 4 children, you have to make do with what you got now. You think her chest is going to remain standing like that? No. Everything is now like bathroom slippers. You have to let go of that unrealistic expectations that she's going to remain like that, the way she was for the rest of your life. Even you, have you not changed as a man? Look at your pot belly now. I mean, reason this matter now. So autumn invites you to let go of past hurts. You have offended each other. You have hurt one another. You have done this and that to each other. You have quarreled over children, quarreled over money, quarreled over intimacy, quarreled over emotions, quarreled over spirituality, quarrels over things you don't even know what you are quarreling over third parties. It is this season that you have to let it go. You have to let go of past hurts. You have to let go of roles that no longer serve the relationship. You have to let go of expectations that's no longer working. Not everything that falls apart is a loss. Some things fall so that better things can grow. Just like the leaves are falling off from the tree so that the tree can gather and garner the strength that is required to survive the coming season ahead. There are some hidden risks of autumn that I want us to know. If this season is ignored and you don't understand it well, it can become a space of emotional distance. Instead of coming back together, you keep going apart. The mother now gets married to her children, metaphorically, because the only concern she has is about her children. And she will neglect and ignore the husband completely altogether. She doesn't know how to go back to that, to that romantic period, to a romantic season that they had. So it can become a space of emotional distance. It can become a space of silent dissatisfaction. You are not happy, but you can't tell. It can become a space of quiet disconnection. You are drifting apart. You are no longer able to connect, on an emotional level anymore. The only thing that connects you is when it's time to pay the bills, when things are needed for the children, when the man is supposed to pay some things or buy some food items for the house. But there's a subtle feeling of we are together, but something is missing, will be coming up. It is not a matter of raucous conflict or violent fights. You are just wondering, something is missing, but couples may not figure it out unless they try to be as intelligent as possible. They might not even be able to identify exactly what is missing, but they just know that something is off. And this is where many marriages begin to drift apart gradually for real. They start looking for emotional satisfaction outside of the marriage. Autumn does not destroy a marriage. It reveals the condition of your marriage. If the foundation is strong, it leads to renewal. If it has been neglected, it exposes the cracks. And what autumn requires is that it calls for intentional rediscovery. You have to relearn your spouse all over again because they are no longer the same person that you married. You have to reconnect emotionally beyond routine conversations. You have to reignite companionship. You have to do things together again intentionally. And you have to reflect spiritually. You have to realign your marriage with purpose. Take note of these are things that I've mentioned. Number one, relearn your spouse all over again. Number two, reconnect emotionally beyond routine conversations. How are you? Fine. Then number three, you have to reignite the companionship. Things are dying. You have to do things together again, intentionally, deliberately. And number four, reflect spiritually. And that's why I say you should realign your marriage with purpose. And I want you to reflect deeply about this. Many couples spend years building a life, but they forget to build a relationship within that life. Do you want me to say it again? Many couples spend lives, the past seasons, they spend this season building a life for themselves, building a career for themselves, but they forget to build a relationship within that life. A relationship also needs to be built. It needs to be cultivated. You need to be intentional about it. Autumn will ask you, and I want you to think deeply about this. Now that everything else has grown, have you grown together? Now that everything else has grown, as a couple, have we also grown together? The children are growing. our jobs, we have got some other levels. We have grown in our entrepreneurial endeavors. We are making more money. We have moved from where we were staying before. We are growing generally in life. But is this marriage also growing? Take note of the difference between the two. Autumn is not the end. It is an invitation to renew, an invitation to realign, an invitation to rediscover love in a greater and different form. But sometimes, life brings a season that's even heavier than all the rest. A season that actually tests not just love, but tests your faith, tests your patience, tests your commitment, tests your loyalty, tests your mercy, tests your everything. And what is this season? It is the season of winter. And that brings us to season number 4, the season of dryness, the season of trial, the season of hard season itself, the season of scarcity. It is like the season of Harmattan. Harmattan comes with dryness. It's a season of barren land. Nothing to plant, because even if you plant, nothing will grow. Everybody is dry. It's a season of waiting for rain, and rain is going to be far-fetched. It's a season of difficulty, a season of strain, a season of emotional and physical challenge. The winter, indeed, is a season of hardship and trials. And that's why I describe it to us as the season of Harmattan, where there is snow and everything is on a standstill. Winter in marriage is the season most people fear the most, and the one many are not prepared for. When winter really comes, when real Harmattan comes, you get to see that you can't just dress the way you were dressing. You cannot move around the way you moved around. You can't take shower just at will. You have to prepare some things, and you have to do some things to be able to survive this winter. And unfortunately, many people are never prepared for it, because winter is not about routine change. It's about trial. Everybody is tried. Even animals will be hibernating, and some other animals that are smarter than human beings, they will have migrated long before winter comes. This is the season where marriage is confronted with illness, where marriage is confronted with financial hardship, where marriage is confronted with emotional burnout, with loss, with betrayal, or deep misunderstanding that will never go away. Winter is heavy. It is the season where conversations become difficult, where hearts feel distant, and sometimes even love feels unclear. Unlike other seasons, winter can make a couple to feel like we are no longer who we used to be. There may be silence instead of laughter. There may be tension instead of ease. There may be questions instead of certainty. And this is where many couples begin to ask, is this the end of this marriage? Some couples will even declare, I'm done. I can't take this anymore. And this is where they also ask, did we make a mistake? And they also ask, can this still work? Can we still mend? Allahu Akbar. Is there any room for reconciliation? They start asking each other these questions. And so many couples start regretting even ever marrying each other in the first place. But here's the truth I want you couples out there to understand. Despite this hardship, winter is not sent to destroy the marriage. It is sent to test the depth of that marriage. Winter is not sent to destroy the love in your marriage. It is sent as a test of that love. Just as the earth appears lifeless in winter, beneath the surface, something is still alive if you can only understand. Subhanallah. There's the hidden mercy of winter. Winter carries a mercy that many people do not see. It reveals the sincerity of love. It reveals the strength of commitment. And it reveals the reality of patience. Because in winter, you are not staying because it feels good. You are not staying because you still feel the love. You are staying because you choose each other despite everything and regardless of everything. However, there's the great danger in winter. The real danger is not the hardship itself, it's how couples respond to this hardship. Blame instead of understanding, withdrawal instead of communication, isolation instead of support, the threat to divorce each other instead of finding ways to work on it and making it to work, expecting the marriage to fix itself instead of making effort to fix it and make it work, and fixing one another instead of fixing the marriage itself. And slowly, two people who are hurting begin to hurt each other. Allahu Akbar. You are hurting, I am hurting. Instead of removing this hurt and removing this pain, we begin to inflict pain on one another and we begin to hurt one another. This is the danger of winter if we don't understand it very well. But let me tell you about the insight that you must have. Many marriages do not break because of the problem they were facing. They break because the couples faces the problem as enemies instead of as allies. Both of you are facing the problem as if you are enemies of one another, not realizing that you are supposed to be the allies to fix these problems together. So what does winter require? Winter demands the highest level of intentionality. It requires sabr, that is patience, understanding that this moment is not permanent. We must not allow a temporary problem to cause a permanent damage to our marriage. It requires rahmah, mercy over emotion. Even when love feels low, you have to choose kindness, choose gentleness, choose restraint. Restrain yourself. It is not everything that you feel that you must express. It's not every hurt that you feel that must lead to the disintegration of this marriage. It's not every hurt that you feel that must overpower and overshadow the love that you felt for one another. You have to turn to Allah together in dua, in prayers, in seeking spiritual grounding. Because some winters cannot be survived without divine help. Sometimes we really need help. And the help we need the help of Allah first and foremost. Then we also need to seek help of counseling, of guidance, of wise intervention, of people who have passed through this path before, people who have already survived this kind of season that you are going through. There's no weakness in seeking support from other people. And I want you to reflect very deeply. Allah reminds us that hardship is part of life, and marriage is part of life, so it too will experience hardship. The question is not, will winter come? Because certainly it will. The question is, who will you become when it comes? Allahu Akbar. Let couples ask each other. Things may be looking sweet now. When we are going through difficulty, who will you become when that time comes? You just told me now that you love me. What will you do to me when winter comes? When things are harsh? When you are feeling hot? When you are feeling angry with me? When you are feeling disappointed in me? When you are not feeling happy with me? Who will you become? What will you be? What will you say? What will I be to you? When things are dry, when we feel left out in the cold, what will we become to one another as a couple? The hope is that even the longest winter does not last forever. Beneath the frozen ground, Allah is already preparing the next spring. So if you find yourself in winter, do not rush to end what is simply being tested. Do not abandon what may still be showing and growing beneath the surface that's going to show up on the surface when spring comes. Don't forget that after this winter, spring will come back again. Because some of the strongest, most beautiful marriages are not those that avoided winter, but those that survived it together. And now that we have seen all the seasons, we must understand a very powerful reality. Marriage does not move in a straight line. It moves in circles. And this brings us to the hidden reality that seasons are cyclical. After everything we have explored, there's a truth that we must bear in mind. Every marriage will experience a season of fresh beginnings. It will experience a season of hard work. It will experience a season of reflection. And it will experience a season of testing. Yes, no season in marriage is permanent, but it also goes in cycles. After you have experienced a season of testing, then you go back to experience a season of fresh beginning as spring. Just as Allah does not allow the earth to remain in winter forever, He does not decree that a marriage must remain in hardship without end. Look at the rhythm of life. After night comes day. After difficulty comes ease. After dryness comes rain. And in the same way, after winter comes spring again. This means something insightful for every couple. The love you once felt can return. Don't lose hope. The connection you lost can be rebuilt if you work on it. And the joy that faded can be rediscovered. Many people think that we used to be happy, but that time is gone. No, that season is not gone. It has simply passed. There's a difference between something has passed and something is gone. What has passed can return in a new, beautiful form. Not the same spring that you experienced last time, but a better one. When spring returns after winter, it's not the same as the first spring that you had. This time around, it is more mature, it is more intentional, it is more rooted in understanding. And while the first spring is driven by emotion, the next spring is built on experience. MashaAllah. Let me tell you this. There's the danger of thinking that a season is permanent. When the hardship comes, you will think it will never go away again. One of the greatest mistakes in marriage is that making permanent decisions, like we said earlier on, based on temporary seasons. Like ending a marriage in a moment of winter, giving up during a season of emotional distance, or concluding that this is how it will always be. This person will never change. Let me tell you, Allah teaches us through life itself that marriage has its seasons. There's a time when love is fresh like the first rain, and a time when life becomes hot and demanding, and there's a time when you begin to reflect on what you have built, and a time when things feel dry, difficult, and heavy. Change is constant. If you judge your marriage only by today, or only by how you feel, or only by the current struggle, you may completely misunderstand the true story of your marriage. A marriage is not defined by a moment, but by its movement through the moments. And there's wisdom in these cycles. Understanding cycles gives you patience during winter. It gives you gratitude during spring, and it gives you discipline during summer, and it gives you awareness during autumn. You no longer panic because you recognize that we have been here before and we came through. How many fights make a marriage? You fought, you have quarreled, you have settled, you have made up. You fought, you have quarreled, you have settled, you have made up. You have been through this before. This is not the first time you are going to quarrel. Even this one too will pass. Even this one too will pass. To the one in winter, this is not your final chapter. To the one in autumn, this is not your decline, it is your turning point. And to the one in summer, please do not neglect what still needs to be nurtured. And to the one in spring, Allahu Akbar, prepare wisely for what is coming. So understand this very well. Marriage is not a straight road, it's a cycle of seasons. One shaping the other, each one testing the other, and each one refining the relationship again and again. The goal, therefore, is not to stay in one season forever, but to learn how to walk through every season together as a husband and as a wife. So I need you to please reflect on this, and I need you to take it very seriously. What are the reflection, the tafakkur I want you to have on all of this we have been saying? Listen and reflect. Try to imagine and be honest with yourself. Not with what people see, but with what you truly feel. You have to, number one, identify your season. Ask yourself, what season is my marriage in right now? Is it the warmth of spring, or the busyness of summer, or the quiet shift of autumn, or the heaviness and dryness of winter? And more importantly, ask yourself, am I responding to this season with wisdom or reacting to it with emotion? Are you being led by your feelings and mood swings, or you are being reasonable with your foresight? Number 2, tafakkur, reflect. What is your role within this season? What does this season require from me? What is Allah teaching me through this season? What does Allah want me to know? What does Allah want me to learn? What does Allah want me to do with this season that I'm going through? Ask yourself this, and this is very, very important. Don't forget to reflect deeply on how all of these things affect you. If it is spring, have I planted strong foundations? If it is summer, am I nurturing the relationship or neglecting it? And if it is autumn, am I reflecting and reconnecting or drifting away? Or if it is winter, am I showing patience and mercy, or am I becoming distant and harsh? Reflection number 3, you see your spouse clearly. You should know that they are going through something. Is it that they are fighting a battle that you have not understood? The problem may not be because they don't love you. It may just be because they are fighting some battles that you cannot see. And reflection number 4, reframe your narrative. Many of us carry silent conclusions. Things are not like before. We are no longer the same. Something is missing. Is being distracted by outsiders. But what if nothing is missing, but something is simply changing? People cannot remain the same forever. People change, so you got to understand. And then reflection number 5, commitment beyond feelings. Ask yourself honestly, am I committed to this marriage only when it feels good, or even when it feels difficult? Because real love is not proven in spring. It is proven in winter, when the harmattan is harsh. Now let me tell you the truth. If you are struggling, if things feel heavy, if your heart feels tired, listen attentively to this. You are not alone, and your marriage is not beyond hope. You are not the only couple going through this. You are not the only wife going through problems with your husband. You are not the only husband having problems with your wife. It is universal. This is not unique to both of you alone. Many other people have passed through this before. So it's not unique. It's not as if the whole world will collapse because of you or because of what you are feeling. Sometimes also, it is not about fixing everything at once. It's about understanding the season. It's about adjusting your expectations and be real. It's about taking one sincere step back towards each other. So before you leave today, carry this question in your mind. What can I do starting today to become a better companion in this season of my marriage? And remember, you cannot always control the season, but you can always control how you show up within that season. But somehow, sometimes, some people try to show up, but they are not able to do it. Some people do their utmost to survive some of these seasons, but for some reasons best known to Almighty Allah, they are not able to survive it. This is not to say that we mock them for giving up. This is not to say that we diminish them or we don't recognize their efforts. There are those whose marriages could not survive the seasons because life is not always simple and marriage is not always sustainable. There are certain realities that people carry that others never see. There are some situations that become too heavy for some people to bear. And Allah says, وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى. Or Allah says, لَا يُكَلِّفُ اللَّهُ نَفْسًا إِلَّا وُسْعَهَا. And Allah also says, لَا يُكَلِّفُ اللَّهُ نَفْسًا إِلَّا مَا آتَاهَا. These three statements I've made, Allah says, nobody will bear the burden of another person. If the burden of a particular season is too heavy for you, and you are not the one to carry it, Allah has not imposed it on you. And Allah will not impose on anyone except what they are able to carry. And the third one, La yukallifullahu nafsan illa ma ataha. Allah is not going to hold you responsible except for what He has given you the capacity to carry. Some people find themselves having to go through certain seasons that they don't have the capacity to survive. Naturally, they cannot survive it. Emotionally, they are not built for it. Psychologically, they are not designed for it. Some situations can become too heavy. Some environments can become too unsafe, and some hearts can become too wounded. And choices, in hindsight, may require a different path for them. Not every ending is a failure. Some endings are a necessary redirection. When you are in a season, or you are passing through some seasons, or you have gone through this season over and over and over again, and you are not able to bear it anymore, you are not able to carry it anymore, because it is killing, it is crushing, it is destroying you. Let us understand this with a simple, powerful metaphor. Simple redirection. And what is this metaphor? I want you to imagine that you are driving and you miss your turn. You take a wrong route and you are using GPS. What does the GPS do? The GPS doesn't panic. The GPS doesn't insult you. The GPS doesn't say, what is wrong with you? Are you crazy? Are you blind? The GPS doesn't say, what is wrong with you? Can't you turn left? Is that your left? It does not shame you for the mistake. It does not even shame you for deciding to take another way. What does the GPS do? It simply says, recalculating route. Recalculating route. That's all the GPS will say. No drama, no condemnation, no humiliation, just redirection. And this is a lesson many of us need to internalize. Because when it comes to life, and especially when it comes to marriage, we are often harsher on ourselves than necessary. So if you made a wrong turn, if you made the wrong choice of a spouse, if you stayed longer than you should have, if things became unbearable, if the season became too harsh for your emotional, your mental, or even physical survival, including your spiritual uprightness, hear this clearly now. Do not get stuck at the point of the mistake. Do what the GPS does. Recalculate, recalibrate, and keep moving. Because remaining in a place that is destroying you is not perseverance. And leaving a situation that is no longer sustainable is not always failure. Sometimes it is wisdom. Sometimes it is survival. There are winters that are just too cold. And not just too cold, they are also dangerous. Winters that do not refine you, but harm you. And in such moments, a person may need not just patience, but movement. So if your journey has taken a different turn, if your journey has taken a wrong turn, do not carry your story as shame. Carry it as experience. Do not define yourself by where things ended. Define yourself by how you chose to rise and how you chose to continue. Recalculate, recalibrate, and keep moving. The GPS is Allah and His Rasul. The GPS are the words of Almighty Allah. If you have gotten it wrong, you've made a mistake, you made the wrong choice, or things turn around to be destructive spiritually, or to destroy you even physically, morally, mentally, and psychologically, and to have committed a genocide of emotion on your life, what should you do? Recalculate, recalibrate, and keep moving. Because life is still moving, even if you decide to remain standing still. And Allah, in His infinite mercy, is still writing your story. If the road changes, do not lose yourself. Just pause, listen, and allow your heart, your faith, and your wisdom to say, recalculating route, and keep going. The Prophet ﷺ had to leave Mecca when the season of propagating the deen of Allah became too harsh for him and his companions. The companions had to migrate to Abyssinia, and they had to migrate to Medina. If the season becomes too destructive for you, then you are permitted under the Sharia to do your hijrah. Just get hold of your GPS, which is Allah and His Rasul. Recalculate, recalibrate, and reroute your movement. After all said and done, there are also the couples that I want us to consider. We just consider the couples that may have to recalculate, recalibrate, and reroute. But there are some other couples, and who knows, you might be one of these couples I want to talk about. I call them the marriage keepers. And I want us to give a standing ovation for these marriage keepers. There are couples you will never hear about. They do not trend. They do not perform their love for the world to see. There are no perfect pictures, no carefully crafted captions, no public declarations that is shared through timelines and through the social media. But they are there, gently, consistently remaining. Some of them did not even understand how they made it this far. They don't even know how they survived all of these seasons of their lives, all of these seasons of their marriage. Not because they were the most compatible as a couple, not because they were never in disagreement, and not because they never argued with one another, not because they never fought against one another, not because they never hated each other for a moment, not because they had everything figured out, but somehow, maybe by luck, or by hard work, or by accident, or by destiny, and maybe, most beautifully, maybe by the grace of Almighty Allah, they stayed together. They remained, maybe by luck. They remained, maybe by hard work. They remained, possibly it's just by accident. They didn't plan for it. They remained, maybe because Allah just destined that they must stay together. They stayed together. They stayed when conversations became difficult. They stayed when misunderstandings lingered longer than they should have. They stayed when life pressed hard from every side. Finances, children, expectations, disappointments, despite everything, they still stayed together. They stayed when nobody thought it made any sense to stay together. They stayed through versions of each other they did not even recognize. They watched the person they married change, and then change again, and then change again, became a beauty and became a beast, became a beauty and became a beast, change and change, metamorphosed, transformed, transmogrificated. Everything changed and changed, turning around, sometimes a beautiful creature, sometimes a botanical monstrosity. And instead of saying, this is not who I chose, they thought to themselves in ways that are spoken and unspoken, let me learn you all over again. Let me give it another try. These are the marriage keepers. They are persistent ones. They are not perfect people. They are the ones who chose patience when anger felt easier. They are the ones who chose silence when harsh words were ready to be spoken. They are the ones who chose to return even after emotional distance. They are the ones who chose to try again even when trying again felt exhausting. They are the ones who understood, perhaps not at the beginning, but somehow along the way, they understood that love is not just something you feel, it is something you decide to protect. They have seen the spring more than once. They have endured summers that felt too heavy. They have stood in the uncertainty of the autumn, and they have walked through winters that nearly broke them, that nearly broke their bone, that nearly froze their heart, but did not let one season define the entire story. And no, it was not always beautiful. There were days of doubt. There were days of doubt. There were moments of confusion. And there were seasons of emotional distance. But there was also something very personal to them. Something that is steady. A refusal to give up what they once prayed for. They remember how they met. They remember how they started without nothing as a couple. They remember the hell they went through together to even be allowed to marry each other. They remember the good and bad days they had together. They remember how the other person stayed even when they could easily walk away. They remember when the other person understood them even when they were not making any sense. They remember the secrets they shared. They remember the battles they fought. And they remember the victories that they gained together. They remember the fall together. They remember the rise together. They remember the patching, the padding, the stitching, the mending, the breaking, the hiding, the covering, the hurt, the pain. Then they remember the laughter, the joy, the celebration, the jubilation, and again, the confusion. And perhaps that is their secret. It is not perfection. It is not constant happiness, but grace. They adopted grace. They allowed grace. They applied grace. The kind of grace that allows two imperfect people to keep choosing each other again and again and again, even when it is difficult, even when it is unclear, even when it hurts. So today, we do not just celebrate love stories that look good. We honor the ones that endured. We give an ovation, a standing ovation for the ones that stayed despite everything, for the ones who fought for their marriages, even when they thought they were going to be destroyed in the process. They fought for their marriages. They stood up for what is theirs. They did not give up on the battlefield. They fought for their marriages as if their lives depended on it. They were so reckless with hopefulness. They were so reckless in knowing that something must work well one day. We give a standing ovation for the ones who stayed, for the ones who bent without breaking, for the ones who healed even when no one saw the wounds, for the ones who persevered even when nobody appreciated their sacrifice. For the marriage keepers, may Allah preserve what you have built. May Allah place al-barka in your patience. May Allah reward the tears that no one witnessed. And may Allah reward the efforts that no one applauded. Because in a world that celebrates beginnings, you chose to honor continuity. In this world, people can celebrate a wedding. They can celebrate a nikah. They can celebrate the beginning of a marriage. After that, nobody knows what happened again. But you chose to honor continuity even when nobody will witness it. And that, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is a love that is worthy of standing ovation. So in this gathering today, we have not just spoken to one kind of person. We have spoken to many journeys. To those who had to let go, to step away, to begin again, and to those who are still holding on, building, nurturing, and enduring. Allah sees them all. Allah sees the one who stayed and struggled silently. And Allah sees the one who left after tuhmalu ma la yuhmal, after they kept bearing what could not be borne by anyone. Allah knows the tears that were hidden. Allah knows the prayers that were whispered. And Allah knows the strength that it took to continue. Allah knows your breaking point. He knew that you had to break. Allah knew that He didn't give you the strength to bear it. So Allah understands if you had been broken. Allah understands if you had to reroute, recalibrate, and recalculate, and reroute again. Allah knows. Allah understands. Allah knows. Allah knows that you did your best. Allah knows that you are at your breaking point. In fact, Allah knows that you are already broken. Your movement out of this season is a movement of wisdom and survival. And when you stayed, Allah knows what you went through to have stayed this far. You are not a fool. You are just wise enough to understand that you have a purpose for staying. So before we leave, let us raise our hearts to the one who controls all seasons. Ya Allah, you are the turner of hearts. Keep our hearts firm upon your obedience. O Allah, place barakah in the homes that endured. Strengthen the ones that are weary and mend the ones that have been broken. O Allah, make our homes places of tranquility, places of love and mercy. O Allah, for the one who remains in their marriage with patience and hope, send down upon them your peace and renew between them love and mercy. O Allah, for the one who had to recalculate their path, to rearrange their life, to begin again. Please, Allah, grant them a healing that befits their heart. O Allah, do not let our experiences harden our hearts, but make them a means of drawing us closer to you. O Allah, grant us pure love, beautiful patience, and wisdom in every season of our lives. O Allah, when seasons of joy come to us, make us among those who are grateful. And when the seasons of trial come, make us among those who are patient. O Allah, do not leave us to ourselves even for the blink of an eye, and make the end of all of our affairs to be good. If we decide to retain the well, if we decide to walk well on our wells, O Allah, let it be well with us. As we keep digging in search of water, let us not just find water. Let us also find gold and other treasures that you have kept for us in the well of our marriages, so that it can be well with us. O our Lord, teach us to love well, to be patient well, and to journey to you through every season, where everything will be well with us. Ameen. My name is Abdulfattah Adeyemi. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Welcome to a place where we celebrate your greatness and nurture your path to even greater accomplishments. Acquire Abdulfattah Adeyemi's soul-lifting handmade masterpieces and experience the divine beauty of Islamic artistry. Join the community. Transform your life. Edit your universe.